Okay, guys, it has been a well, it hasn't been that long. I'm acting like it's been like 3 years. It's really been about a week since me and Dakota have posted an episode of Just a Casuals Insight. We've been on a little bit of a vacay, a small little vacay. I'm happy, but then I'm not happy today. Let me start this off right. How y'all doing? I'm Jelani Smith. I'm 20 years old. I'm a communications major out of South Suburban. Welcome to the 21st episode of Just a Casuals Insight. And by me saying that I'm happy but not happy today, my brother / co-host is not here. Dakota Mitchell, as you guys all know, greatest co-host you can ever have, not here today. He's a little bit sick. Hoping to see him probably on Thursday, Friday, sometime over the weekend, sometime around there, so then we can start churning out the episodes with us together. But for today, I am solo dolo, just me, Jelani Smith. And today is going to be, as usual, per usual, a great episode of Just a Casuals Insight today. For anybody that hasn't been keeping up with the NBA, which if you don't keep up with the NBA, we do that shit every day. We do that shit every episode around here. LeBron James, well, I shouldn't even say LeBron James. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, the Los Angeles Lakers went on a tear this past week, beating the Bucks and the Clippers in the same week. Probably the most impressive week you will see from a team all season in the regular season this year. Extremely impressive. Along with that, they signed Dion Waiters as well. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts today on the Lakers, on those two games that they played against the Bucks and the Clippers, and LeBron James' MVP candidacy on this episode. Besides that, being the first topic, I want to talk a little bit about Kenny Atkinson getting fired from the Nets. Very interesting decision, something I was not expecting, to be perfectly honest with you. I was not expecting Kenny Atkinson. Seemed like a great guy, seemed like a great coach on that team. Ended up getting fired from the Brooklyn Nets. I want to tell you guys a few destinations that I can see him going, and also the little dynamic that they have going on with Kyrie Irving and KD and what they might have had to do with the Nets firing Kenny Atkinson. And lastly, today, little bonus segment that I might do. I'm not going to promise it to you, but I might do it. I want to talk a little bit about the young stars of the NBA again, because I feel like it's a very, very, very intriguing crop of NBA stars, young NBA stars, not only this year, last year, the year before that, and it just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. And I want to tell you guys a little bit of the vision that I see for the NBA going forward, because it's going to be intriguing. It's going to be very offensive, but you're going to see a high amount of skill. It's going to be amazing. I want to talk a little bit about that and just the innovativeness of a lot of these young guys and the vision that I see for the NBA in the next few years going forward, with guys like Luka Doncic, with Trae Young, with Karl-Anthony Towns, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, even Giannis Antetokounmpo, like all these different guys. I want to talk about that a little bit in our third segment. So it's going to be a filled episode today with the NBA stuff as usual. For any NBA fans, hardcore NBA fans out there, you are going to absolutely love today's episode of Just a Casuals Insight, episode 21. Jelani Smith. Stay tuned. First segment is about the Lakers, all things Lakers. Back, Just a Casuals Insight, Jelani Smith. You guys already know me. And let's dig right into it, because I've been wanting to talk about this for quite some time, sink my teeth deep into this. And when Dakota gets back, I'm definitely going to talk about this with Dakota, because I think he's a little bit more on the Lakers than I am. But man, the Lakers are they're not swaying my opinion completely, but I love what I'm seeing from the Lakers in terms of their dynamics on offense and defense. So let's get into this Lakers and Bucks game over this past weekend. For anybody that does not know or did not watch the game, which is, I'm sure that's like 80% of you who be commenting, 113-103, the Lakers beat the Bucks by 10 points. It was a great game, very exhilarating game. It's everything that you want to see in a basketball game when it comes to two titans, and LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo kind of clashing. There were some one-on-one battles, some little, chirping going on. There was physicality in the game going on. A lot of great things that happened in the game, and I was really excited to watch it personally. LeBron James finished with a robust, might I add, 37 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists on 12 of 21 shooting from the floor. AD, by the way, AD does not get enough recognition. Anthony Davis does not get enough recognition for how great he's been playing for the Lakers this year. But he had 30 points, 9 rebounds on 10 of 24 shooting from the field. Giannis Antetokounmpo on the other side of the floor for the Bucks had 32 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists on 10 of 21 shooting from the floor. He was 11 of 14 from the free throw line. First thing I want to say is the discrepancy in free throws. The Lakers, and I don't have the numbers, I apologize for that. I really should have brought in the numbers before I went on the air with this. But it was like 15. It was like 15 in terms of the amount of free throws that the Lakers got compared to what the Bucks got. And I'm not saying at all that there was some phantom call stuff, but I wish that the referees would have let them play a little bit, because I do feel as though like some calls definitely were going the Lakers' way compared to the Bucks' way. And I think that kind of definitely had a play on the game. It had a little bit of a play on the game. But let's start with the Giannis Antetokounmpo LeBron James matchup that, of course, everybody wants to hype up and, talk about. First, I want to say LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo, for me, I don't know about for everybody else that exists in this world, but for me, and I think Dakota would agree with me on that, probably top 4 physical specimens that have ever played the game of basketball, like at the NBA level that I've ever seen. LeBron James being, and he's not 6'8", he's about 6'9", 6'10", guys, so get the height right. 6'9", 6'10", probably 250, 260, somewhere around there. Runs like a running back. Strong as like a linebacker, damn it. Agile like a wide receiver. This dude is, in terms of physical ability out there on the basketball court, it's him, and then there's Giannis Antetokounmpo. You're talking about, Zion Williamson, I feel as though is going to be up there as well when it's all said and done. But these two guys that faced off, top 4 in terms of physical specimens that have ever played the game. You got to see it when the game was going on, the way they were just driving to the rim, bullying guys around. Even on these two teams, two of some of the top-ranked defensive teams in the NBA, and these guys' physicality still was able to overmatch a lot of what was going on out there on the floor. For me, the real deciding factor in this game was, and I hate to say it because I love Giannis Antetokounmpo. At the end of the day, he's one of the best players in the NBA, bar none, period. I don't want to hear anybody else's case about he's not really even my top 10. Like, whatever, man. Like, he's clearly one of the best players in the NBA, playing on, record-wise, the best team in the NBA, right? I still feel like there was a big discrepancy between LeBron James' skill set and Giannis Antetokounmpo's skill set. And it was in one particular aspect, shot-making ability. Giannis Antetokounmpo, just 25 years old, has a ton, just entering the prime of his career, still has a ton of time to grow, still has a ton of time to improve. You see LeBron James at 35 years old, 17th year in the NBA, and he's still improving on his skill set. But Giannis Antetokounmpo still at this point right now has no real shot creation ability to his game. And I've been talking about it all year long. It needs to happen for him. And the way that his lack of shot creation was exposed in this game really, really showed. I hope it showed some things to you guys, showed NBA fans. It definitely, it didn't show me anything because I kind of knew this already, that he has to get that part of this game down. That is part of the reason I do not see the Milwaukee Bucks getting out of the East. I can't see it. And I love this team. This is an incredible basketball team in the Milwaukee Bucks. A team that moves the ball around very well, has a ton of 3-and-D guys. They pride themselves on defensive intensity, on pressure on the defensive end of the floor, moving the ball around, getting out, playing with pace. This is a great team. Machine-like, basically. Similar to kind of like what similar in some ways to what Golden State was able to do a few years ago. But your main guy, your go-to guy, has to have the right skill set to be able to put you over the top. That's why I value a guy like KD so much. It's the reason why I value a guy like Kawhi Leonard so much. It's the reason why I value a guy like James Harden, a Paul George, etc., a LeBron James, etc., Kyrie Irving, etc., right? Because at the end of games, when you need big shots, or when you need something to keep you in the game, when you got to make something out of thin air, that's where the best players show who they really are. That's where the game of basketball is played at in a lot of these angles. And I saw plenty of opportunities for Giannis Antetokounmpo to pull up from mid-range. Had plenty of space to do it, or had opportunities to create a shot from the top of the key or from wing areas. And he didn't do it. He would pass it out, or he would drive and try to get fouled, or he would drive and then try to pass it out for a rush 3, contested 3, any of these things. And LeBron James was down on the other end of the floor, on the offensive end of the floor for the Lakers, hitting tough shots. I say this all the time. Actually, no, I think this is the first time I say this to my friends when I'm talking to them about basketball. The first time I think I've said this on air for just a casual's insight. When LeBron James is out there making tough shots, when his jump shot is in a flow, Kawhi Leonard and a team full of Kawhi Leonards can't stop him. Legit, like LeBron James, when his jump shot is flowing, like I said earlier, one of the top physical specimens that you've ever seen on a basketball court. Now, when his jump shot is flowing, it's about game over at that point. And that's what this game really was. You couldn't even say nothing to LeBron James at that point. And LeBron James couldn't say nothing. He was hitting tough fadeaways. He was hitting he hit like tough mid-range shots. The ball was going in the basket. Big credit. Big, huge credit to Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee. This is a subtlety in the game that Jeff Van Gundy pointed out. Nobody was really seeing it. I mean, especially people that like comment on Twitter or comment on Instagram and don't necessarily know this, like the little schematic things that happen within a basketball game. Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee did a great job of setting screens on Brook Lopez and all the Milwaukee Bucks bigs down low to free LeBron James up for layups. And I don't mean like screens in terms of they were setting a screen for LeBron James and then rolling to the basket. No, what they were doing was setting screens on the defender, on LeBron James' primary defender, then rolling to the basket. And then they saw Brook Lopez down there. Brook Lopez is playing the paint. He's basically playing the paint. He's completely containing. He's not trying to get beat off the dribble, not trying to get beat to the rim by LeBron James. So he's staying far back to like pretty much give him some sort of challenge at the rim. Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee would then roll themselves on down there to the rim, block off Brook Lopez, and LeBron James would snake around and go get a layup. That is basketball at the end of the day. That is something that if you looked at a stat sheet or if you just looked at numbers on Instagram or on Twitter, you would not notice that happened. You would just see LeBron James 37 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and then think that LeBron James is just that much better than everybody else. But part of this game is the teamwork involved in it and the schematic things that happen in a game. JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard helped freed up LeBron James on a few plays in order to get him some open layups or easier layups around. You even seen him one time land on, I believe it was Dwight Howard one time, because he jumped basically over Dwight Howard to go get a layup, and they both kind of fell a little bit. That's the type of things that guys like JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard bring to a team that nobody talks about. Nobody's really going to ever notice things like that. But if you're looking at the game, and Jeff Van Gundy, as I said, pointed it out perfectly in that game, those are little things that happen in the game that it can change the way a game is. It can change the momentum of a game. It can change the outcome of a game, honestly. It can change the outcome of a game. Little things like that bigs do, that guys like Patrick Beverley and Avery Bradley. Speaking of Avery Bradley, going to get into him later in the show. He was incredible as well. But little things like that. But the biggest takeaway from me in this game, two guys who are freaks of nature. LeBron James, 35 years old. He's seen it, done it all. Appreciate that man for everything that he has brought to the game and will continue to bring to the game, because he's simply one of the greatest and best players that have ever walked on an NBA basketball court. That can't be denied. But Giannis Antetokounmpo has to get himself some shot creating ability. Has to do it. This summer, go watch some Kawhi Leonard. Go watch some Kevin Durant. Go watch some Kobe, Paul George, Tracy McGrady. Watch these guys and the way they work within the mid-range area, the way they work off screens, the way they hunt their shot, the way that their post-up game, their jab step series, their footwork down there, the way that they get their shots off, the step backs, all these different things. Start implementing those things one thing at a time into your game line at Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I promise you there is nobody in your way at that point. The Bucks are a good enough team. They got enough great pieces in Eric Bledsoe, Wesley Matthews, Dante DiVincenzo. Brook Lopez has been great on the defensive end of the floor as well as the offensive side this year. Kyle Korver is one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA. You have the pieces around you and the team around you, and the coach, Mike Budenholzer, once again up for Coach of the Year. He's an excellent coach. The pieces are there. It's just he has to turn himself into that type of guy. He has to mold himself into that type of guy where there is no defensive scheme that is able to stop you. There is no walling up on Giannis Antetokounmpo and now we have to pass out and ask somebody else to do something. You have to take that onus onto yourself and do it. And I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to do it because his competitive edge, his work ethic, it'll allow him to do it. It's just that up until that part of his game starts to come, I feel like the Boston Celtics, for me, just hold a place in the East where I feel as though, although they are young relatively in some aspects, and I'm talking about Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I feel like those guys, they're ready for that. They create their shots very well, especially when you're talking about Jason Tatum. But Jaylen Brown is no slouch at doing that as well. Along with Kemba Walker and Gordon Hayward, big moments in games like this where it can go either or way, when you need a bucket in desperate times and desperate measures, Boston has so many attacking parts for them that Milwaukee does not have. That's my biggest claim for Boston being able to get out of the East this year. Or even Miami. getting, even Miami, because they're great as well on both ends of the floor as well. I love Miami. Now, the big game, even bigger than the Lakers versus Bucks, Lakers versus Clippers, right? Two LA teams going at it. This is the first time in a while that this is the first time ever that both these teams have been this good at the same time. Like, this good, and the atmosphere was so crazy in that game, extremely intense the entire time. It seemed like every bucket just was able to sway the game one way or another for another team. It was a game of a lot of momentum. And I will say first that the Lakers did a great job overall in that game of schematically scoring on the Clippers defense. Because the Clippers defense, they came out to play. They weren't coming out there to just, it's another regular. No, whenever these two teams match up, it is playoff-like atmosphere going on. So for them to be able to score the way they did, find themselves opportunities, it was great. Let me run off a few stats for you guys. LeBron James finished with 28 points, 9 assists, 8 rebounds, had 12 points in the fourth quarter, 7 of 17 from the floor. Yeah, Kawhi Leonard on the Clippers side with 27 points, 9 of 18 shooting from the floor, 2 of 9 from three-point. Paul George, 31 points, 9 of 16 from the floor, 3 of 7 from the three-point line. I feel like this game came down to the last about 9 minutes of the game. And it's something that the Lakers are going to try to take advantage of, as all teams do. Look, when the playoffs come around and you have playoff-like atmosphere games, basketball is a game of advantages. That's what this game is. It's all about advantages. When you watch the Warriors play for all these years, teams would double Steph Curry out of the pick and roll. Dump the ball off to Draymond Green. Now we're playing 4-on-3. We have the advantage. And that's part of the reason they were able to win so much is Draymond Green is great at playing in these advantageous situations. The Spurs, moving the ball around, able to create advantages and continually dribbling and driving to the basket. Houston Rockets, James Harden being doubled all the time, starting at half court. They're able to create advantages for themselves. This is a game of advantages. And what the Lakers did was a little bit unconventional in terms of the advantage. Maybe not unconventional, but different in terms of the way they did it compared to the other teams that I just mentioned. The Lakers, what they were able to do was find a little defensive but a little defensive hole in the Clippers. You don't necessarily ask LeBron James to go one-on-one with guys like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George because arguably those are actually not even arguably, the two of some of the best defensive wings you will ever see in NBA history. Two of the best defensive wings you will ever see. Paul George is no slouch at all on the defensive end of the floor. Kawhi Leonard is a two-time defensive player of the year. That speaks for itself. Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan type of dynamic going on with those two on the defensive end of the floor. You don't necessarily ask LeBron James or ask any of the perimeter players on the Lakers to go one-on-one with those two because in the last few minutes of a game, they're locked in. They know this is the time for me to make a stop. You don't go at them. You avoid them at all costs. Don't include them in any of the actions that you run. Don't include them in any of the pick and rolls. Don't include them in any of the isolation plays. What the Lakers did in those final 9 minutes was avoid Paul George and Kawhi Leonard at all costs. Leave them on an island. Let them go on ahead and do their own little thing. The Lakers targeted Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, Marcus Morris. And I know some people might be saying, well, Marcus Morris isn't a bad defender. Montrezl Harrell isn't a bad defender. But what we're trying to do, if you're the Lakers, is as many advantages, as much of an advantage as you possibly can on the Clippers. And although Marcus Morris is a good defender, he's not Paul George, he isn't Kawhi Leonard. You try to give your best players the best chance you possibly can to make something happen on the basketball court every single night. That's especially in the playoffs. If you ever watch the Houston Rockets play, if you watch the Warriors play, you watch any of these great playoff teams play, they're looking for switches. They're hunting for them. And the main target, the main culprit for the Clippers was Lou Williams. Constantly tying him up in pick and roll situations, constantly tying him up in situations against LeBron James, where if LeBron James is coming at you full steam ahead, everybody's in trouble. But when it's Lou Williams especially, you have no chance whatsoever. You're not trying to tell LeBron James, well, you're the best player in the world, or you're one of the greatest players to ever play, so why don't you go over there and go try? No. We're trying to win us a basketball game here. And LeBron James doesn't have the shot creating ability to try to do something like that, nor would you want him doing that in the first place, nor any player in the first place. You're trying to create advantages. So targeting Lou Williams, meaning even if he's not the primary defender, try to get him caught up in a screen and roll play. That's the best way for you to win down the stretch. And they might have found a little formula here. On top of that, let's remember they just signed Dion Waiters. That's an extra 10 to 15 points added onto your team and shot creating ability that this team has been missing out on the perimeter besides LeBron James for some time now. Now, as I said before about Avery Bradley, huge credit to him. I feel like the Lakers don't win this game without Avery Bradley. He was incredible for the Lakers against the Clippers. The way he was D'ing up, the shots that he hit down the stretch, he was incredible. Anthony Davis, 30 points, 7 rebounds on 11 of 19 shooting from the floor. If the Lakers want to advance, this is not going to be the LeBron show. This is not the LeBron happy ending that people want it to be. He's not just going to average 50 in the playoffs and playoff LeBron's going to come out and everybody's going to be okay. If you're going to beat some of these heavyweights in the West and you're going to beat some of these heavyweights in the East, you need more than LeBron James just stepping up in order for you to win. Anthony Davis, Avery Bradley, Dion Waiters, they need to step up, and Kyle Kuzma, especially, has to make big shots down the stretch. And it's going to be hard because if they think that it's hard to catch a rhythm right now, having LeBron James and AD basically running the system for them, imagine in the playoffs when LeBron James has the ball in his hands more, when Anthony Davis has the ball in his hands more. It's going to be even more difficult for them to try to find a rhythm, to try to get a flow. But if the Lakers are going to pull this off and win a championship this year, which they are more than capable of doing, they have to be able to find another perimeter option out there that can get them the points that they need to be able to put them over a team like the Clippers, who has so much ammunition on offense, who has so many different people that they can go to on offense, that it's going to be very difficult to try to beat them on any night. And if the Clippers were able to, who knows what happens in this game if the Lakers don't take advantage and do what they do. They might have found a little formula. How the Clippers are going to combat this, I honestly have no clue unless you're doing a lineup switch. You kind of need Lou Williams out there on the floor. So maybe collapsing, playing even tighter help defense. I don't know what you can do pretty much, or just playing better on the offensive end of the floor. I'll be honest with you, I do not like the fact that Paul George only got 16 shots in this game and had 31 points on those 16 shots, extremely efficient from the floor. Paul George, in my opinion, is the equal of Kawhi Leonard on the offensive end of the floor. But what people don't realize is Paul George needs his rhythm. He needs that rhythm. He needs it. When he has it, oh, he's deadly. Oh, he's lethal. He's nasty. I know everybody's talking about playoff P and all these different things. I feel as though primarily having him as the playmaker and natural and scorer on this team makes the game easier for everybody on the floor. He's probably a better playmaker than Kawhi Leonard is, and just as equal of a scorer on that end of the floor. Kawhi, in one way, shape, or form, is going to get his 25. But I feel like running the ball a little bit more through Paul George is going to make things a little bit easier on everybody, because what you don't want is for Kawhi Leonard to have the ball running through his hands the entire time, but then Paul George is not able to catch a rhythm. Lou Williams is not able to catch a rhythm. You need these other guys to do, because you know Kawhi Leonard for a fact is going to get his. He's got his different avenues for doing it, and it'll probably take a little bit off him anyway, because he's got to guard LeBron James on the other end of the floor. So it's going to be a little bit of some transitioning for them, but I still 100% believe in the Clippers and 100% believe that they're going to win the NBA championship, get out of the West, and win the NBA championship this year. They just have some things that I think that they could do a little bit better in terms of finding the rhythm and the offense and all those different things. And that comes with time. They still have time to get through on this. And I still think, when they're healthy before this, they were 10-0 against really good teams, including the Lakers. They were 2-0 before this. So this isn't like a death sentence for them at all whatsoever. But I do think Paul George needs to be a little bit more, especially in the fourth quarter when you knew he was hot. He needs a little bit more than the touches that he was given to have an impact on the game the way they want him to have an impact on the game. And the way I know he could probably have an impact on a basketball game. As far as the MVP candidacy goes with LeBron James, this is pretty interesting, man. So the Lakers are what, like 49-13? 49-13, man. They're incredible this year. And of course, people are going to talk about LeBron James on the floor compared to LeBron James off the floor for the Lakers and different things like that. And I think the system has a lot to do with that. But as far as MVP goes, LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo are at my top. I really can't see anybody else as of right now being besides those two. They've played, him and Giannis Antetokounmpo are incredible this year. I would give Giannis Antetokounmpo the edge. I don't want to subscribe to the whole idea that it's Giannis Antetokounmpo when there's absolutely, it's really not even that close. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that at all, because it's not like the West is just some scrubby dubs. These are really top like the first 6 teams, deep teams that can all beat you on any given night. So this isn't just no scrubby dub, little, this team is 500 and they're 5th place and da-da-da. No, all these teams are legit good, even down to the Mavericks at the 6th spot and the Rockets and all those different teams like that. But I do have Giannis Antetokounmpo on the edge a little bit just for him, just because of their record and the way that he's played. I mean, you got to remember, this dude doesn't even play in some fourth quarters, or doesn't play a lot in the fourth quarter, simply because they're always blowing teams out. Always blowing teams out. So I will give Giannis Antetokounmpo the edge on that end. Luka Doncic needs more consideration for MVP. James Harden, I always say, needs more consideration for MVP, but who the hell is going to listen to me when it comes to James Harden? And AD doesn't get talked about enough at all with MVP. I don't know why. I really don't get it. I don't get that one at all. Some people just think that because LeBron James is on his team or that he doesn't. Come on, man. Anthony Davis is out here averaging what? 26.7 points per game, 9.5 rebounds and 2.5 blocks. He's probably the front runner for Defensive Player of the Year, in addition to giving you 27 points a night and almost 10 rebounds. If that's not MVP worthy, and on a team that's first in the West, if that's not MVP worthy, I don't know what is. I don't really know what is anymore then, if that's the case. He's been better than advertised on the defensive end of the floor. He's come up with big shots down the stretch for the Lakers, especially in that Bucks game. He was incredible in that game. And in the Clippers game, he was even more efficient from the floor, doing his job, protecting the rim, altering shots. Even though he only had 1 block in the game and 2 steals, you knew that he was altering shots, that he was affecting the way teams would strategize around going to the paint. Teams aren't just willy-nilly going to the paint because they know Anthony Davis is down there, in addition to Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee. So pretty much for that Bucks game and the Lakers game, and I want to go back to that because I just remembered something. People were saying that LeBron messed up Giannis Antetokounmpo. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say he fucked up Giannis Antetokounmpo. He played great defense. He's played great defense over this stretch. Played great defense in spots in this stretch. Very, 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 very inspiring defense from LeBron James. I feel like Giannis Antetokounmpo has to find that sort of shot creating ability, and then we can talk about it a little bit more. LeBron James is LeBron James. Look, at the end of the day, guys. He's been in this game for a longer time. He's been able to maximize his skill set a little bit more than Giannis Antetokounmpo has probably thought about, and you can see the difference in how they play. One guy has a little bit more skill than the other. It makes the difference coming down the stretch of games, or even in games where even in the third quarter when you need a bucket to get up on a team when you guys have been stuck in a tie for a while. Little things like that. And I think as Giannis Antetokounmpo goes, he'll get that down. It's just that right now it's not there for him. And LeBron James, it's there for him. So he's got to get that part of his game down. The Clippers game, they took advantage of the Clippers down the stretch, and they played sensational defense. Overall, they played sensational defense, let alone what LeBron James was able to do on defense these last 2 games, as well as what Anthony Davis. All those guys have done in the defensive end. Avery Bradley has really played inspiring defense as well on that end of the floor. And as far as MVP candidacy, as I say, Giannis Antetokounmpo just slights LeBron James. Just slights LeBron James on that one. It can go either way for sure. MVP is not something where, one guy deserves it really over the other. It's really, it doesn't have to be that way necessarily for me. For me, it's a little bit of a case of record. And the way Giannis Antetokounmpo, just in dominant fashion that he's played this year against most teams, it's incredible this year. But I can see it going either way. With that one. Just the casuals insight, that's Jelani Smith diving in deep to the Lakers this year. As far as the Lakers winning the championship this year, I don't see it unless injuries for the Clippers or any of these other teams happen. But I could definitely, my preference would be the Clippers, but I can definitely see the Lakers winning it all. Definitely can see it. They're just that damn good. Next on Just the Casuals insight, I want to talk a little bit about Kenny Atkinson, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, the entire Nets organization, and what they do going forward now that they've, surprisingly to me, fired Kenny Atkinson. We'll see you. Back on Just the Casuals insight, and we're going to talk a little bit about Kenny Atkinson being fired from the Nets this past week. So very, 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 very surprising to me, as I've said before. it's just interesting to me how this whole thing happened and what Kenny Atkinson has been able to do for the Nets, which is amazing, extraordinary things for that team. He's been able to help Spencer Dinwiddie, been able to help Karis LeVert, been able to help Joe Harris, been able to help Jared Allen. That's a young core in the Nets that I feel like when you add Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant to that, they're going to be special. I feel like they're, in terms of teams in the East, if I'm looking at them personally, as big of a fan as I am of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, I can see them coming out of the East with this team when they start to gel and when chemistry is right there or right on point. Assuming that happens and everything goes right for them, no injuries. As far as Kenny Atkinson being fired, and Stephen A, I feel like encapsulated this perfectly on First Take. I don't think that Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving wanted Kenny Atkinson fired or were demanding that Kenny Atkinson be fired, but they didn't exactly gloat or completely praise him. There's a subtle way for players, for people to be able to say that they don't want that, he's good, but could we do better? Is he my first choice? And that's what I think this whole thing was with the Nets. And personally, for anybody that's asking, do I like them firing Kenny Atkinson? No. I feel like this is just a move. And apparently Kyrie Irving, there's sources out there that say that Kyrie Irving prefers Tyronn Lue. Makes sense. Tyronn Lue is an excellent coach. Coached Kyrie Irving before. I think that this is more of a move to manage egos. That's what this is about. Me and Dakota talked about this on, I can't remember what episode that was. It was not too long ago. We were talking about who do you think is the greatest coach of all time. I said Phil Jackson needs to have consideration for this because I know some people, there are detractors that would say that, well, Phil Jackson had Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Shaquille O'Neal, had amazing teams that he's able to coach. But I feel personally, I understand a little bit better that basketball isn't as simple as just a talent that's out there on the floor. You have to be able to manage a team the right way. You got to be able to manage egos the right way. And when you're talking about Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, and Shaquille O'Neal, you're talking about three of probably some of the biggest, maybe even the biggest egos that have ever played basketball. And to be able to manage them and to be able to fit them into your scheme, to be able to fit them into the triangle offense, to be able to show them patience, to be able to tell them, hey, we're going to win. I can win you championships. I can tell you guys how to do it, but I need you to be patient. Hey, I need you to take less shots, or I need you to do, you know what I'm saying? With a guy like Kobe, or with a guy like Shaq, or with a guy like Michael Jordan, trying to get them to subscribe to anything when it comes to basketball, especially knowing what they know about the game of basketball, all the knowledge that they have, it is very, 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 very difficult. Think about any craft in life. Think about music. Think about artists. Think about a group of artists. Such as, I don't know, the Beatles, Wu-Tang Clan, like any Tribe Called Quest. Think of any music group and how egos can get in the way of a great thing happening. Think about maybe the profession that you have where egos get in the way, where one guy wants one thing and he sees it his way and we could do it this way, but the other guy's like, nah, but then you get a little too much shine. I want a little bit of shine too. It's very, 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 very difficult. And I will be the first to tell you, as big of a fan as I am of Kyrie Irving, he is pretty egotistical. Rightfully so. I mean, he's Kyrie Irving at the end of the day, but he is egotistical. He is, I am Kyrie Irving type of guy. Kevin Durant's the same way. All great basketball players are pretty much like that. You have a few that are not really too egotistical. They're just there and they listen to the coach and they're pretty humble guys, but most of these guys, they're built off of their own egos. You need a coach in there who is able to direct these things. Tyronn Lue knows firsthand about that, considering he had to figure out a way to manage LeBron James and Kyrie Irving being on the same team, in the same dynamic, wanting the same things. You have one guy who wants to be one day considered the greatest player of all time. That in of itself, now you're trying to get him to fit into things offensively or trying to coach him or tell him, hey, you should do this or do that. That's already going to be difficult, especially knowing what LeBron James knows about basketball. One of the greatest minds that has ever played the game of basketball. You got Kyrie Irving on the other side, who reports being told that he wanted to leave Cleveland even after they won a championship. He didn't even want to be there. He always wanted to kind of lead a team. So you have to mesh those two guys, those two egos together, and try to figure out a way to win. That's extremely difficult. And although it seems like it's easy because it's LeBron James and Kyrie Irving and the Cavaliers with Kevin Love and RJ and all these different guys and all these different guys, it is really not that easy. And Tyronn Lue is an expert at managing egos. And this team, Dinwiddie, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, Karis LeVert, these are all guys that legit on any team can put up 25 points a night. I am one of those believers that believes Dinwiddie and Karis LeVert, if they're on a different team, they're stars. Think kind of what James Harden was able to do his first few years when he went to Houston. On Oklahoma City, he always had the potential to be that kind of guy, to be that 25 point per game scorer or beyond that. It's just that he was playing within a system where you had to feed the ball to Kevin Durant a little bit more. Russell Westbrook needed to be fed the ball a little bit more. Those were the two guys that were featured, but James Harden always had it in him. I feel like Spencer Dinwiddie is the same way. And so now you're trying to figure out, okay, like we got to manage. And Tyronn Lue is an expert at those things. So I feel like as far as them preferring Tyronn Lue, excellent hire. I see nobody else for that job. I don't want to see, I really don't want to see, I can't see Tom Thibodeau. I would like Mark Jackson, but can't see it because why now? I couldn't see it. I would love for Mark Jackson to be hired by a team, and I can damn sure tell you some teams that could use Mark Jackson on their staff, considering what he was able to do for the Warriors. But I don't see that one. Tyronn Lue is the guy for the job when it comes to the Nets, and I think he'll be able to back those players in a lot of those things and be able to handle and manage egos in that way. As far as Kenny Atkinson goes, though, I feel like he wasn't even given a fair shot, to be real with you. Like, he wasn't even given a fair shot. Kevin Durant hasn't even stepped on the floor for the Nets yet. Kyrie Irving has stepped on the floor minimal times for the Nets. So what he could have done as a coach, nobody really knows. They're kind of basing it off the two guys being Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. They know championship coaches when they see one. And they probably liked Kenny Atkinson, especially as a person. Really thought Kenny Atkinson was a great person, but didn't think he had what it took exactly to be that type of guy, be a championship coach and be able to manage them and handle all the things that are going on and be able to help lead that team to a championship or to the place that they want to be one day. But as far as teams that could use him, I have one team only. Well, a few teams actually, but one team that really could use a different coach. That is the Chicago Bulls. Nobody talks about the Chicago Bulls. Nobody even cares for the Chicago Bulls, even around here where I live. But I love the talent that's there, from Zach LaVine to Kobe White to Lauri Markkanen to Wendell Carter to Shaq Harrison to Daniel Gafford. These guys, I feel like they have the talent. It's there. It's there. Kobe White is special. Zach LaVine is special. Lauri Markkanen is special. These guys are legit really good. And you're seeing what Kobe White can do on the floor now that everybody is kind of hurt at the moment. But Zach LaVine, I want to just say this right now because I've been talking about this with one of my friends for a long time. Getting to watch him play, I get a lot of T-Mac vibes. I get a lot of Kobe vibes. I even get a lot of Jordan vibes from watching this dude play. And if you watch a Bulls game, just watch one. He averages 25 points a game. But to be real with you, he'd probably be averaging 30, 32 if Jim Boylan knew a little bit more about what his team needed in order to win. The offensive system that they run does not necessarily feature Zach LaVine the way that I think most coaches would feature Zach LaVine. The talent that guy has and the talent that Kobe White has. You're talking about a guy in Zach LaVine who's one of the best athletes in the NBA, probably the best run jump athlete in the NBA as of right now, meaning speed, going down the court and then jumping up in the air, probably the best run jump athlete in the NBA, and definitely one of the best run jump athletes the game has ever seen or ever will see. But the skill set, the ability he has to create shots, he already has that in his bag, and he can do it against the best defenders. He has moves for everybody. On top of that, he's one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA. If you think I'm lying, just go watch the game 13-17 from three-point range against the Charlotte Hornets and 49 points and a game-winning three to top it all off with a cherry. The amount of talent that he has spells 30-point per game scorer, 32 points. I can even see 32 for him. He's that good, man. But I feel like I feel like Jim Boylan and that staff over for the Chicago Bulls is not taking the potential out of him completely, not letting him run the reins the way he probably should be. And I know some people will probably say, well, you got to move the ball. You got to get everybody involved. Here's the thing, guys. One thing that people don't understand about basketball is it's cool to have ball movement. Oh, it's cute. Like, let's move the ball around. It's great. But when the ball ends up in the wrong person's hands, you did nothing but just pass the ball around for 24 seconds. not 24, 15 seconds. That's all you really did. The reason why it works for the Cavaliers, the reason why it works for the Warriors, the reason why it works for the Spurs is because they have the personnel out there. I mean, think Stephen Curry, think Klay Thompson, think Kevin Durant, Draymond Green. Think all the three-point shooting, all the great personnel that the Warriors out there on the floor. Now it makes sense to move the ball because you're attacking from all these different directions. Or think of the Spurs, Tony Parker, Danny Green, Manu Ginobili, Tim Duncan, Kawhi Leonard. It makes sense to move the ball. The Celtics, a great ball-moving team. Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Danny Ainge, Dennis Johnson, Robert Parrish. Pretty much all Hall of Famers. The Lakers, the Los Angeles Lakers, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Byron Scott, Michael Cooper, James Worthy, goddammit. Like, do you realize the amount of... Now, the Bulls moving the ball around with the minimal amount of talent that they have on there on the floor in terms of being able to create a shot, it doesn't make sense. Say what you want about Houston. Say what you want about their isolation offense or the fact that James Harden holds the ball too much. This is one of the top offenses in the league, statistically speaking. And I feel like the reason why they don't win the way that people want them to win or the way that they should be winning is because the personnel out there isn't exactly correct. It has nothing to do with the fact that James Harden doesn't come up big or because Russell Westbrook doesn't come up big or any of these things going, or they shoot too many threes or different things like that. I feel like what kills them is the fact that the Warriors, for one, they shoot just as many threes or close to as many threes. But think about it. They got Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Kevin Durant. Three of some of the best shooters on the planet. Does it get any better than that? No, it really doesn't. The Rockets, on the other hand, have nice three-point shooters, but you don't have the Warriors' amount of three-point shooters. Really, they just have good three-point shooters. Almost sporadic three-point shooters. You know what I'm saying? When you have that dynamic, but you're shooting that many threes, you have nights where you miss 27 straight three-pointers, or you go 7 of 42 from the three-point line. I feel like more than anything else, what kills the Rockets is their system. As far as the isolation stuff goes, keep having at it. It works. As much as people don't like it, it really, real life works. They're missing pieces. That's what it really is to me. If people remember, when Kobe Bryant was on the Lakers, after Shaq left, they ran that offense directly through him all the time. And for all those years, they were top 7 in offensive rating every single year that Kobe Bryant was the main feature on that team, with a team with Smush Parker, Chris Mim, Lamar, different guys like that. Not exactly the best talent, nice talent, not the best amount of talent though that you would see. Putting the ball in your best player's hands, especially when Zach LaVine is not only your best shooter, he's your best penetrator. Putting the ball in his hands just makes sense. As much as possible, put the ball in his hand. He's the one that's going to create all the offense. Even though he's not the most polished passer in the world, he's going to collapse the defense unlike anybody else because they know for a fact this is their number one guy. This is a guy who can dunk it on somebody, dunk it on our biggest big, but can shoot it over all of our guys too. He's going to attract a lot of attention, which is going to create a lot of wide open shots for the rest of those guys. On top of that, you're giving him a chance to keep you in games a little bit more. So I feel like the people that say they need to move the ball more or teams need to move the ball more, go check teams that make the most passes in the league. You'll see that some of the worst teams in the league move the ball the most or make the most passes in a game. This is not something I'm lying about. Go check it out. I don't have the stats right in front of me. Go to NBA.com, go check out passes made. You will see that literally some of the worst teams in the NBA make the most passes. You know why? You know why their record isn't better? Because the talent isn't there. They don't have enough shot makers on the floor. They don't have enough guys who can create their own shot. Or their guys have a low IQ, aren't able to see the passes. Different things like that. You have to have the right personnel for things like that to work. Other than that, the Bulls need to put the ball in their guys' hands more. But I just got on a rant about the Bulls and Zach LaVine and Kobe White and all those guys. Kenny Atkinson would do great. You just saw what he did for Spencer Dinwiddie, et cetera, all those guys. Now imagine him going over to the Bulls, a team that has a ton of potential, but has not exacted it out of themselves due to management, different things like that as far as I'm concerned, front office issues. Bringing a guy like Kenny Atkinson in, who understands talent, who understands how to develop talent, he would be amazing for that team. Kenny Atkinson should be the pretty much the hottest commodity for a coach in the NBA this year. Teams should be scrambling for him as far as I'm concerned. The Knicks could use somebody like him. I feel like Detroit with Dwayne Casey, they're only going to get better. They've had a ton of injuries so far this year. The Wizards, I love Scott Brooks. Kenny Atkinson would be great on that team though as well. There's a ton of teams that could use a Kenny Atkinson. And if this is the last place he ends up coaching, this is a dumbass league. He is a great coach. Excellent. I just feel like a little bit of some lack of experience or just lack of traits that the Nets want in a championship coach, they did not see in Kenny Atkinson. But that does not mean that he doesn't deserve to be a coach in the NBA. That is all for Kenny Atkinson today. As I said, number one option. If the Bulls one day hear this shit, and I hope they hear it pretty soon, get Kenny Atkinson on the team. Jim Boylen is nice. He's fine. But just get Kenny Atkinson. I don't even want to talk bad about Jimmy Boylen. Next, I want to talk to you guys about young NBA stars this year and where I see the league going in a few years. We'll be right back on Just the Casuals Insight. Stay with us. Welcome back to Just the Casuals Insight. And for this last segment, as I promised, I want to talk a little bit about the young players and the game going forward, because it's going to be very, 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 very interesting. And I love what I'm seeing so far. Contrary to what most people would think or what most people say, I love the game right now. I love the places the game is in. Of course, is it completely pure in the way that it was probably before with all the defense and more of the schematics involved in it? Probably not. The game is more, it's become a global game. We're appealing more to innovation. We're appealing more to offense, appealing more to shooting threes, big dunks, crazy crossovers, trying to get more fan engagement involved in the game. And I love it, to be honest with you. I love it because even within everything that's going on with the game, with all the extracurriculars, not enough defense being played, not enough mid-range shots being taken, not enough guys in the post, all those things happening, there's the skill level of these players today is greater than it has ever been. The athleticism that is on these players today is absolutely amazing. Where seeing a Dominique Wilkins, a guy jump like Dominique Wilkins before, there's probably about three handfuls of those guys in the league right now. It's incredible the amount of athleticism and the amount of skill level. And I want to pinpoint a few players in the league right now that are going to be taking over in the next decade and really, really pioneering the next generation of players. And first, I got to start with Luka Doncic. The things that he has done this year, and he might create a new wave. As I've talked about before on this show, he's a guy that's been playing professional basketball since he was probably 15 years old. So he's been getting nothing but reps against professional basketball players. Remember, guys, although the EuroLeague is not the NBA, it's literally maybe a step behind. The competition is not that different between the NBA and the EuroLeague. That's why a lot of former NBA players go into the EuroLeague and play. And they're still able to find great competition in those leagues. So imagine Luka Doncic has been playing there for years. Then on top of that, he's been doing nothing but reps. Every single day, working on his decision-making, working on processing information, working on his shooting form, working on his handle, working on how to see the game better, mastering his craft. That's why at the ripe age of 21 years old, this dude is averaging 28 points a game, 46% shooting from the floor, almost 9.5 rebounds, and almost 9 assists a game. He's in the MVP conversation alive and well. He represents one of those types of players that I like. Me growing up personally, not even me growing up, but let's say somebody like let's say Kobe, for example, growing up. I think the amount of skill that Kobe Bryant had can be attributed to the fact that he didn't play a whole lot of AAU games. And I don't want to be one of those people that sits there and says, well, AAU is bad, because in a lot of ways, AAU can get you the exposure that you absolutely want and play you against some great competition all across the country. AAU's great, but I feel like some of these coaches and some of these organizations take AAU to a point, to an extreme point, where these players are not getting enough skill development in. And you could tell Luka Doncic at the age of 21, I'm not sure he's mastered his craft yet, but he's getting there. He's probably at that point or close to that point as of right now. And that's because instead of playing a ton of AAU games over the course of a week, he was playing against professional athletes, asking professional athletes questions, and then working on his game, implementing those different things. That needs to be the new wave. I could see American parents, American players opting to stay away from college basketball and then playing a year in EuroLeague basketball, or even taking their kid out of school, out of high school early, and then going to have them play in professional leagues across this country or in the Euro leagues. Like, that could be a thing. I could see that happening for somebody. It could be a way for them to kind of see what the competition kind of simulates, kind of the competition, and being able to play against older guys will always make you think faster. It'll make you experiment more with your game, learn what you're good at, learn what you're not good at, and see what your level is. Because when you're playing against competition that's inferior to you all the time, you don't know what you're not good at necessarily, unless you're outwardly hunting for things that you're not good at, which people are not doing in pickup games whenever they're playing against inferior competition. They're just trying to win and show off. But Luka Doncic, he's been able for years now to see what he's not good at, work on it constantly, and tailor his game to professional athletes that he would be seeing in the NBA. That's why he is so good right now, and along with his amazing work ethic as well. Another player, personally, one of my favorites, along with Luka Doncic, is Trae Young, averaging 29.4 points per game, 9.3 assists. This guy's incredible, and I saw him play in high school. He's my favorite player throughout high school. Like, when you're watching players in their high school days, he was my favorite player at that time when he was in high school. He was averaging about 42 points for his high school in Oklahoma. Incredible amount of skill on him. And although that team is not winning, that's not necessarily something that he can fully control. I mean, you look at the numbers right now and you see what he's doing. I mean, he's not just putting up big numbers against some of the worst teams in the NBA. He just had 50-8 against Miami not too long ago, like right after the All-Star break. He has everything on him, from elite shooting to elite ball handling to elite vision and elite passing abilities and decision-making abilities. He has everything. The defense has got to get better. We all know that. We all know this defense has to somewhat be on par with the offense. But the offense and the skill level and the maturity in his game is absolutely 100% crazy. The biggest freak athlete on this list that I have right now, Zion Williamson, has taken the league pretty much by storm, averaging almost 24 points a game and 7 rebounds a game. Never seen an athlete quite like him. I've said it before on this show. Never, ever, ever have I seen an athlete like him. There might be one or two athletes that are like him out there in the actual world, like in football somewhere playing defensive end and like these ultra-athletic defensive ends or ultra-athletic defensive tackles. Other than that, the NBA hasn't quite seen anybody like him before, and you're seeing it firsthand right now how easy the game kind of looks for him against professional basketball players who strength train year-round, and including the season. Like, the amount of physicality on him, and then not only that, his skill level is pretty high as well. I mean, is his jump shot incredible? Is it like Luka Doncic or Trae Young? No, but it's there. There's a jump shot. It's a threat of some sort. On top of that, his finishing ability, his touch around the rim, robust. I'm gonna start using that word a lot more, robust. And his pop off of the ground, it's different compared to everybody else. I know some people will say, well, yeah, he jumps and no. His pop off of the ground is different from everybody else's. His second jump is spectacular. It's different from everybody else's. And I think part of that reason is because, I want to say it like this, I'm not sure if I've said this on this show before, but basketball players are behind when it comes to athleticism. As crazy as that sounds, basketball players are some of the most athletic basketball players, especially when you're talking about the upper echelon of basketball players. They're some of the best athletes out there. LeBron James, Giannis Antetokounmpo, et cetera, Russell Westbrook, even James Harden is an incredible athlete. But football players have been strength training from the time that they were in middle school. Bench pressing, squat, deadlifts, overhead press, different things like that. And because of these things, because they've been doing these things for so long, they build up so much strength in their body that they are able to jump even higher than basketball players, run even faster than basketball players, be more agile than basketball players, be quicker than basketball players, on top of being stronger than basketball players. And I think Zion Williamson is the first iteration of a player who looks as if literally he's been strength training his whole life. Remember, this is a dude who's 6'6", about 285, possibly even more, but looks toned. He looks lean. He don't look like he's all that big. He don't look like he ain't no, like, say fat, like 300 pounds or nothing like that. This is solid muscle on him. And you see his legs and his foundation, tree trunk legs. And I heard apparently that he has like a 40-inch vertical, 41-inch vertical standing. That's NFL type stuff right there. See, with basketball players, they don't strength train their legs a lot, so their standing verticals will be somewhere around 29, 30, 31 inches, Their running vertical will be great, 40 inches, 41, 42, But because Zion Williamson has that foundation, he's so much more powerful. He's so much more quick and explosive because of that strength training. And when NBA players, when high school players start doing that, the athleticism is going to get out the roof, guys. You think it's crazy right now. Just imagine what these guys could do if they were strength training. Zach LaVine came off an ACL tear back in 2017 with the Minnesota Timberwolves. He started doing way more weight training, endless weight training, and he got stronger. Not only did he get stronger, he got faster, more explosive, jumped higher. And Zach LaVine had won 2 dunk contests by that point. And still, he jumps even higher now in the Chicago Bulls, runs even faster, he's even quicker, even more explosive. That's all through strength training. Now imagine had he been messing with weights for most of his life. You're talking about a possible 50-plus inch vertical right there. That's what the future could hold. Another guy, Ja Morant, has springs on top of springs on top of springs on top of bounce. It is crazy, averaging 17.6 points per game, 7 assists per game. Crazy amount of skill. And a guy that was homegrown on a playground, like not a playground, but on a backyard basketball court. It just shows for all the kids out there that say they can't get in the gym, look, man, if you got a court in the back or you got a court outside somewhere, go out there and go hoop. That's what it's about at the end of the day. That's part of the purity of this game, is being able to play anywhere at any time, even outside, on double rims, on metal backboards. I don't care. Ja Morant gets it done, and I've never seen a point guard, and I mean this with all my heart, and I'm saying even with Derrick Rose, Russell Westbrook being alive and doing what they've done, I've never seen a point guard with his springs before. The way he plays, it reminds me of Allen Iverson, and he might be, out of all these rookies right here on this list, he might be the most exciting. He really plays without any fear in his heart whatsoever, and you could tell. He feels as though he's the best player out there on the floor, and I love to see that type of attitude from anybody. Jason Tatum, just 22 years old, averaging 23.4 points per game and 7 rebounds per game. His first ever All-Star appearance was this year, and he's only gotten better since the All-Star break. If you have not seen him play since the All-Star break, I suggest you go watch, because his skill level is it's crazy. It's off the charts. It's even hard to explain, to be honest with you. You just got to go watch the side steps, the fadeaways, the step backs, the handle, the in and outs, the high off the glass shots, his shooting form, everything is just, it's fluid. It looks very Kobe, Michael Jordan, Kevin Durant-esque with his ability to create his own shot. It's almost like the defense is at his mercy at a certain point. You saw it against the Lakers when he had 41 points, and it just looked as if it was easy for him. Not only was it easy for him, he was skating around guys with relative ease too. I say all that to say this: Luka Doncic, Trae Young, Zion Williamson, Ja Morant, Jason Tatum. Over the next few years, guys, we are going to see something very, very interesting. See, back in anybody that was born in the 70s, 60s, even 80s, even 90s, even early 90s, the skill level was high, of course. We had guys like Michael. We had all types of guys running around the league who were supremely skilled. But you're seeing now that you have more high school players who are coming into the league with ability and skill like you've never, ever seen before. And the reason for that, I think, is because we have more information available, more resources available to us than we've ever had before. You have more guys that are able to get with trainers early. Some of these guys like Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, they were not training with trainers. They didn't have guys who were telling them what to do. They would just watch film, go outside and go shoot by themselves, rebound by themselves, or maybe with somebody else. But nobody was properly teaching them how to work on their game. Nobody was teaching them the optimal way to work on their handle. Nobody was teaching them the optimal way to shoot a basketball. Nobody was teaching them the little methods, the little tricks of how to run a pick and roll, or the little intricacies, or you need this floater in your game, or this shot is the best shot for you, or let's tailor make your game to this, or you need to build up your body so that you'll be ready for this. That wasn't available to them. And now you're seeing players in high school now who have been getting proper training since they were in elementary school. Like, I'm talking about a trainer with them every single day, or at least 4 or 5, 6 times days a week, working with them, working on how to get your handle right, watching film on Kyrie Irving, watching film on Allen Iverson, watching film on Steph Curry, all these, watching their shooting form, watching how they come off of screens, watching how they operate in the pick and roll, what their options are, and then working that into drills and workouts. So the rookies are only going to be getting better, guys. And I'm really excited to see what's coming up next for the NBA, because I know when I have my kid, from the beginning, as soon as they start playing basketball, proper training from probably about the age of 8, dang near 7 or 8 years old, will be getting not just a trainer, but something, even if it's me, I'll be researching as much as I possibly can to figure out what's the best way to teach my kid how to play basketball. It's going to be it could be revolutionary how the game is going. Because you see a guy like Trae Young and Luka Doncic, and like I said, both of these guys are almost averaging 30 points and 10 assists a game. It's only their second year, they're 21 years old. These guys have been watching the best players, getting proper training from the best trainers across the country for years now. And now when they come into the league, it's like, okay, I've seen all this before. It's not going to take me too long to figure this out. Maybe at first I'll have a little bit of some hiccups here or there. But compared to some other guys who haven't been getting that proper training or who has trouble figuring out certain things in the league, guys, the amount of time it takes a kid now to learn something, like it would have took an NBA player about 5-10 years to figure it out years and years and years ago. And now these kids are figuring it out now, like early high school, college years type of stuff going on. So as much as people hate the NBA now or hate the NBA because it doesn't play defense, you got to appreciate the amount of skill that's out there every night. And then the young crop of talent, because I just mentioned 5 guys to you right there. But there's plenty. Literally, there's probably a young star on like every motherfucking team that's playing in the league right now, literally. So I suggest just enjoy every single player that comes into the league. It's going to get crazy, the amount of skill, the amount of athleticism that's in the league. The game is going to be at a higher level than it's ever been before. The product's going to be better than it's ever been before. Maybe not in terms of we're beating people's asses or shoving people or competition but the skill, the different things that you'll see every single night, the shooting expeditions, the scoring, shit. Even the competition is gonna start picking up a little bit because there's more and more basketball players that keep coming in who know very much a lot about the NBA already or have an extremely high skill level on these different teams. It's going to be crazy, so enjoy it. That's all for Just the Casuals Insight. It's been a solo episode with Jelani Smith. Next episode, we will have Dakota on. Absolutely 100% because I need to get his opinion on all these different topics in the NBA. And in just music as well. Probably gonna. Oh, by the way, for anybody who didn't check out Lil Uzi's latest album, Eternal Take, go check that out. Shit is cold. Shit is fucking. I'm not even joking. You guys gotta go check that out. That is a really, really good album. That's my first time listening to Lil Uzi, like legit sitting down and listening to some of his shit. I was not disappointed at all by anything. And I'm excited for the rest of the rap albums that are gonna be coming out this year. I might listen to some R&B shit this year too because I really haven't done that too much as well. Just the Casuals Insight. You guys already know I got a plug at the end of the show. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. We are on Spotify. We are on Anchor. We are on YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We do have a donations page. You don't have to do that shit, though. I don't require that. I think Dakota does, though, so maybe you should donate for him. Come show any love. Show any support. If you want to be a guest on the show, call us up if you have my number. If not, check us out on Twitter, check us out on Instagram, DM us, and we can get you a guest on the show if you have any Q&A, if you have any segments that you would like, any reviews that you want us to do, anything you want us to do, as long as it's not inappropriate and will get us taken off of Anchor or any of these platforms that we already have, we will be good to go and we will do it 100% because we love the people here at Just the Casuals Insight. It's Jelani Smith, 20 years old. This is episode 21. I hope you guys enjoyed it today. All NBA topics. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing for next episode, but stay with us for episode 22 coming up. We'll see you.